Episode of the week, which means one thing always, and that is a new and updated power rankings. They come out every single Monday on MLB on Fox. That gets put out on social media. So it's out on Monday. So let's talk about them. We're going to go 10 through 1 and talk about each team and maybe who just missed out. So let's start at number 10 this week, the Kansas City Royals. The Royals have been on the edge for the last couple of months, in it and then out. Right now, they are back in. They were out last week, back in this week. They've won 4 games in a row entering the new week. Again, we record this episode on Monday evenings. So Royals, as we sit, have won 4 in a row. Just 3 games back in the AL Central. Love what the Royals are doing. Love what they did at the trade deadline with their additions in the bullpen. They addressed their needs. I would have loved to go see them get a big name hitter in the outfield, but everybody in the world would have loved that. And unfortunately, there weren't a ton available at the deadline. So the Royals did what they were able to do, and I think made their team better. And now they're playing really good baseball. Only 3 games out in the AL Central. Royals are here at number 10. At number 9, the Padres, down 1 spot from where they were last week. They've won 7 of the last 10 games. They're just 3 games back of the Los Angeles Dodgers, but just an okay week. So move them down 1 spot. But for somebody to go up, somebody has to go down 1 spot. That was more the Padres. Padres are playing fine, and they've been really, really good for a while. But they're just they're okay in their last 10. But the Astros playing really well. Well, the Houston Astros are up to number 8 in my power rankings, up 2 spots. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. They're in first place by 4 games in the American League West. I've been saying it all year long. The Astros are inevitable. You know, it was also inevitable. They played the Chicago White Sox the last few days. The White Sox are one of the worst teams of all time, potentially the worst team ever. And what was inevitable is that the Houston Astros were going to lose the first game they played to them. And that's absolutely what happened. But since May 8th, no better team in baseball. Not a single team better in baseball than the Houston Astros, who are up 2 to number 8 this week. At number 7, staying put, the Minnesota Twins. They stay where they were last week. 2 games back in the AL Central, but 6-4 in their last 10 games. Nothing crazy to write home about. They're playing decent baseball. They're definitely creeping up in the AL Central, but just kept them where they were. But their AL Central front runner, the top of the division, the Guardians have moved down 2 spots. So this division is getting closer and closer. We have 3 teams in the AL Central in these power rankings: the Royals, the Twins, and now the Guardians, who are down 2 from where they were last week. They've lost 3 in a row entering the new week, 5-5 in their last 10 games, lost a big lead in the AL Central over the last couple of months. They had a massive lead. They no longer do. Again, lost 3 in a row, so had to bump them down and out of the top 5. But let's start in the top 5 with the Phillies, down 2 spots. Phillies have held down the number 1 spot for the majority of the year this year. No longer. Kept bumping them down 1 after another, and now 2. They're playing okay right now. They are still tied for the most wins in the National League, but only 5-5 in the last 10. But finally starting to seemingly play a bit better. The reason, if you're watching for the reasoning, isn't because they aren't finally playing better. It's because there's teams behind them that are now in need of being in front of them, which leads me to number 4, the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have been, dare I say, the best team in baseball since the All-Star break. They've won 5 games in a row now, entering the new week. Their NL Central lead is 11 games, by far the biggest lead in a division in baseball. Best team in baseball since the All-Star break. Best batting average in baseball in the month of August. 30 points higher than anybody else in the month of August. They're hitting well over 300. Nobody else is hitting 300 in the month. The Brewers, and in case you didn't hear the news, unfortunately, Christian Yelich is now going to get surgery, back surgery. And I think I talked about it a couple weeks ago, but was on the fence about what to do with his back, missing time. Was he going to get season-ending surgery? Was he not? Was going to then work through it. Ultimately, was not able to. So Christian Yelich is going to miss the rest of the season by getting his back surgery done. Just a huge blow to a team that really needs him offensively. But I mean, not right now. Not right now. They don't. They'll need him in October. But they've been playing phenomenal baseball. So I moved them up 2 spots to number 4, just behind my number 3 team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, tied for the most wins in the National League. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They finally have the big three back together. Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman up 2 spots from where they were. They were 5 last week. They're 3 this week. They are getting healthier. This NL West lead getting closer and closer for them was never about that's not true. It is about the Padres and Diamondbacks playing really good baseball. But we can't say that without acknowledging that the Dodgers have been dealing with a lot of injuries. The family emergency to Freddie Freeman, the injuries to the starting pitchers, the injury to Mookie. They've been dealing with huge injuries. And now those guys are back in the offense. They're starting to creep back in the starting rotation, and they're now playing better. Shocker. Dodgers are up to number 3 in the power rankings, which leads to number 2. The New York Yankees, tied for the most wins in all of baseball. And I actually think the New York Yankees, I would say, man, it's a toss up right now between them and the Baltimore Orioles. But the Yankees have I would have had them in the top spot, but lost 2 in a row, and that's the reason I have them here right now. Let's go to number 1 to have this conversation all in one. My number 1 team in this week's power rankings remains the same. The Baltimore Orioles, also tied for the most wins in all of baseball. Again, if the Yankees had won on Sunday, I probably would have bumped them up to the number 1 spot. But ultimately, they lose 2 in a row. You can't bump a team up into the 2 spot for me, or into the 1 spot. Even with a team not playing great, the Orioles aren't playing their best baseball right now. But that lead is getting closer. The lead in the American League East is non-existent. Those 2 teams are neck and neck, tied in the win column. But I couldn't justify moving the Yankees into first place over the Orioles without them winning a couple more games as well. So Orioles keep that spot despite not playing their best baseball. So 10 through 1 goes Royals at 10, Padres, Astros, Twins, Guardians. Top 5, Phillies, Brewers, Dodgers, Yankees, and the Baltimore Orioles. Meaning the teams that just missed out for me, Arizona Diamondbacks are probably that team for me. The Diamondbacks are the team for me that was the most difficult to keep out. They've been playing incredible. They've really cut that lead down. Them and the Padres are also there neck and neck around the 2 spot in the NL West. But I just felt like with the Royals winning those 4 games in a row and creeping up in the AL Central, only those 3 games back right now, the Royals are definitely playing better baseball than the Arizona Diamondbacks over the last week. They've been really close in terms of where they are in the power rankings. So I did bump the Royals back into that 10 spot and kicked the Diamondbacks out for now, just because of how well the Royals are playing. So Orioles holding down the number 1 spot, and I am holding it down here in Michigan for the Flippin' Bats community up here in northern Michigan. Just loving it. First vacation in a long, long time to be able to take, but